People like to brag about Bay Area restaurants, how good the food is, how cutting edge the chef is, but in some places, it is so loud you have to practically scream to talk to someone across this table. Now, one Bay Area restaurant is trying something new. Mike Sugarman shows us, or better put, lets us listen in.
Not even on the menu, and still the talk of the restaurant world.
My guess is it's always been a big deal to people.
But the chorus of complaints just keeps getting louder.
Louder environments, louder music.
High ceilings, brick walls or stone walls, concrete floors, bare tables.
Sometimes you don't realize it till you get outside. Spend an hour trying to enjoy a meal, then you think, that was the loudest thing I ever heard.
I was getting more and more complaints from readers.
Michael Bauer is the chief restaurant critic for the Chronicle. We can't show you his face, but we can tell you this: he hears your pain.
As the noise increases, they turn up the volume on what's playing on their stereo. The conversation raises to that level to overtake what's coming out of the speakers, and it just is relentless.
1, 2, 3, or 4 bells and a bomb.
When John Paluska opened Comal restaurant in Berkeley last month, he knew what he wanted to serve.
Regional Mexican food with an emphasis on food from the southern states.
He also wanted to offer something even more unique.
We were hoping for that sort of holy grail where you can be buzzy and still have a conversation.
Then, partly by chance, he crossed paths with the very sharp minds and ears at Meyer Sounds.
Because the world is round, it turns me on.
We do live shows like Cirque du Soleil shows and things like that. We started thinking, this might be useful in a restaurant. It's a completely different paradigm in thinking.
Step 1, kill the reverb in this cavern of a room.
Here, this triptych of
Hidden behind the print,
wads of recycled denim that act as sound damping materials.
in between those original Douglas fir beams, layers of duct liner.
It works extremely well just as a general acoustic damping material. Behind these old coffee bags is tectum, which is a great acoustic material as well. It's a street corner in Oaxaca, and a lot of people think it's a painting, but it's actually, again, it's a digital print on fabric with the recycled denim inside.
Now that the room is virtually soundproof,
If you look closely up there, you can also see very thin little microphones hanging from the ceiling.
those microphones grab the natural sound of the restaurant and pass it along to these.
Those smaller speakers, those don't play music. They just play the room back to itself.
And that allows him to control the volume of the room from the palm of his hand.
Different levels of reverberation based on the occupancy level of the room. Keeps the noise levels from escalating up to a point where it's hard to control them.
Slow Monday evening, allow a little more noise to warm up the room.
Very high level of reverb, about 1.5 seconds. Test. Sounds a little boomy.
Packed and buzzing on a Friday night, dial it back. Kill the mighty stir.
When you bring it all the way to high occupancy, that's when it's really quite noticeable. It just dies right away. Test. Kind of feels like the air has been sucked out of the room a little bit.
Here it is again.
All right.
Loud and quiet. Impressive through our camera equipment. Quite remarkable in person.
And one of the analogies that I use, shallow depth of field photograph. So there's this sense of sharp focus and clarity in the near vicinity, and everything around them is this sort of wash of pleasant noise.
Of course, Comal is a beta test and the equipment is not cheap. But it proves one thing: dining does not have to come with a din.
It took me about a half an hour to really acclimate to that I didn't have to shout.
We've had a number of people come up to us and say, you know, I walked in and looked around and I was dreading this was going to be another really noisy experience. And then somewhere along the line, I realized that it wasn't.
And cheers to that. Mike Sugarman, CBS 5.
Well, for the moment, it truly is the only restaurant noise system of its kind in the world, and just a month ago